Can Jack Flaherty be an elite arm once again? Is Andrew Abbott a must-add? Join us for a gripping episode where we provide you with the best must-add pitch and ditch arms heading into the weekend on this action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, my better half, Matthew Ane.
Yo.
You can find us on all social media platforms and podcasting apps. And if you're listening on one like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that little bell below. It subscribes you to the channel. Also gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And once again, if you're on the YouTubes, please be sure to like and comment because we love to talk fantasy baseball with you. Today's episode is brought to you by the Gametime app. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last-minute tickets, lowest price always guaranteed. Locked On Fantasy Baseball fans, we have a fully loaded episode for you today. Let us be your team secret weapon as always, while we provide you with must-add pitch and ditch arms for the weekend. Plus, we got a couple of 2-star pitchers for next week as well. But Matt, as always, take it away, my brother. Who's up first?
All right, and before we talk about our first guy here, and if you're new to this podcast, you want to tune in. If you're a regular listener or everyday, or skip about a minute, I'm gonna keep this up to about a minute. I want to explain pitch and ditch if you're new here. Pitch and ditch is a strategy that here at Locked On we like to do. It's something where you like to manufacture your win. You know, you're down, your ERA's blown up, your WHIP's blown up, you still need the win. And the way you can do that is by just loading up on pitchers over the weekend that have high strikeout potential, and who cares about the ERA and WHIP. So you want to load them up, and if they could possibly sneak in a win for you or a QS, that is the biggest thing that you want to get them counting stats and move on. So all these names are pretty much going to be relevant for about this weekend, and then you're going to pretty much want to pump and dump. And that's really about how you're going to treat every single one except our first guy here. And now, guys, this is where you should be tuning in. That's Mr. Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott is a name we talked about earlier in the week that somebody we said you probably should add. And it's a must add. Andrew Abbott went out, did his thing, and had a decent matchup because Milwaukee is at the top of their game right now. They're leading their division. And quite honestly, it wasn't an easy matchup. And Abbott came out there with 6 innings deep, first outing in the bigs, got the W, got 6 Ks, gave up no runs, and had a .83 whip. Like, quite honestly, Abbott has great potential. He has a lot of good stuff. He doesn't have any mind-blowing power, but Abbott is really good with his stuff. So I really think that he is a must-add, long-term potential, 100%. And then the reason why he's on this show is a good matchup this weekend, going against St. Louis, who's been up and down, left and right. Now, I expect them to kind of start getting hot again because Nolan Arenado has figured it out, and Jordan Walker's back in the lineup. So Andrew Abbott does have his work cut out for him, but only with those two right now. If St. Louis decides to start picking things up, they could be dangerous for Andrew Abbott. But again, we don't care here on the podcast for this episode. We just want to get that win and manufacture the win at the end of the week. And Andrew Abbott could take you to fantasy victory this weekend.
Yeah, I'm a big Andrew Abbott guy. I know Matt kind of broke him down for you, a few days ago. I wasn't able to be on the podcast that day. So it's my time to, preach about my boy Andrew Abbott. He's only 48% owned on Yahoo. And I will say this about the, pitch and ditch strategy. Sometimes you're picking up guys, you think they're only going to be here for a little bit, and it winds up being a long-term thing. There was a lot of guys last year, a lot of guys we've mentioned this year. I think we've even had John Gray, my boy, on one of those shows, and John Gray went out there and dominated St. Louis, 9 innings, 1 run, 12 strikeouts. Hopefully Andrew Abbott can go out there and do the same. As Matt mentioned, St. Louis has been up and down. The last 9 games, they've only won 2 of them, and in those 2 games combined, they've scored only 3 runs. So it looks like Abbott can go out there and, potentially have a very, very good matchup. If you don't know who Andrew Abbott is, starting pitcher, Cincinnati Reds, I'll just read you off his minor league stats from this year before we move on. This year, Abbott in the minors, 2.50 ERA, 10 games started, 54 innings, 90 strikeouts to 17 walks, 0.92 whip. He's got like a Joe Ryan type fastball, not really fast, but has a lot of movement, throws a curveball as well. That's pretty solid. So, got some pitch and miss stuff. So with Andrew Abbott, I definitely think you should pick him up and see where this thing goes. But let's move on to our next guy, who's somebody that we're a fan of on this podcast. I don't know how much Matt loves him anymore, but I'm sure he'll let us know, and it's Jack Flaherty. So Jack Flaherty doesn't really apply to the pitch and ditch part of things. He's a 2-start pitcher for next week. Looks like, I think, Monday or Tuesday, he gets San Francisco. And then heading into the weekend, he gets the Washington Nationals. Both very, very easy and solid matchups. Over Flaherty's last 3 starts, he's been pretty dominant. May 27th against Cleveland, 7 innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 1.14 whip. Pittsburgh on June 2nd, 5.1 innings, 6 Ks, 1 run, 1.31 whip. And then against Texas, who's been, a very, very, very good lineup, one of the best in baseball so far, 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, no earned runs, 1.33 whip. Well, I hope Flaherty can get that, control a little bit down pat. He's been dealing with a lot of injuries over the last few years. That shoulder control, one of the last things to come back, maybe over the next couple of weeks. Maybe he has a Blake Snell type second half. I could see Flaherty being a long-term play here, but, even if he's not, he has 2 bad starts, you just drop him, you move on. Flaherty's 43% owned on Yahoo, has a lot of upside. We all know what he can do. Still only 27 years old. Give Jack Flaherty an ad.
Absolutely. I love Jack Flaherty for who the talent is and what his potential is. If he could really figure it out, hey, he has long-term possibilities for you. The 2-start week is nice. I like the 2 starts. I like the Giants, especially. They haven't really been blowing me off the page, essentially. Jack Flaherty has a lot of upside going in the next week to help you manufacture that win. But let's move on. Let's get on to somebody who I do struggle pronouncing his name, but I got it today, and that's Julio Teheran. Finally got it right after Teheran. I said Teheran over here.
You're good, you're good.
I got it right after like 15 years of saying his name. But anyway, Julio here is actually been really serviceable this year. We said it when we brought it up last week on the Pitch and Ditch episode that I really didn't expect to even talk about him this year. I didn't even know he was playing baseball because, one, he's so old, and man, I thought I was going to find him in the retirement center, but we didn't. He's actually out there still pitching. And he's been really good this year. All 3 of his starts, he's gone 5 innings in one and 6 in the others. Has had low ERA, sub 3 ERA so far, a 2.84, a 0, and a 1.8. And this is against Cincinnati at Cincinnati, so that's a tough one. Toronto at Toronto, and then San Francisco. That's the fluffy matchup. But whatever, it is what it is. But he's very, very serviceable. And his next start going up, what is it, in 2 days? So that'd be 2 days from today. So tomorrow for you guys would be Saturday, and he's going up against Oakland at home. So, you know what? I like the matchup. There's a possibility of getting the win there because Milwaukee's been playing really good. And quite honestly, Aaron could get it done for you. So I think you definitely should get him. The K's could be there with a 5K game and a W, and maybe even help out your ERA just a smidge. So, Aaron, scoop him up.
Yeah, I think Julio down by the schoolyard is, not a long-term play at all. He's definitely the definition of pitch and ditch. Let me see who his next start after Oakland might be. It might be Minnesota. So, not a bad team, not a great team. But, I think, the former opening day starter, plenty of times for Atlanta, Julio Teheran, has a chance to be good this weekend against Oakland. They're not a great team. His stats look good so far in the year, but you know what? Don't hold your breath with Mr. Julio going forward.
Yep. And before we move forward, I just want to let you guys know who's coming up here. We have a pitcher from Houston who I actually like this weekend, a pitcher from Miami who has been solid for our pitch and ditch categories, and a pitcher from the Angels who knows, maybe they have a little upside this weekend. We will find out after this. Have you ever tried to buy tickets and see your favorite artists or sports teams and wound up being stressed out on how much of a hassle it can be to get tickets and all that? Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. That's why you need to go and check out Gametime app and the overlay. Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy your tickets for all your sports, music, comedy, and theater near you with killer deals and last-minute tickets and with their with their best price guaranteed. You can stop stressing over the tickets and get hyped for all your events. Using Gametime app is super rewarding with flash deals for last-minute tickets, easy to find tickets for every kind of event in your area, image of your seats so you can see exactly where you're going to be sitting, lowest prices guaranteed, event cancellation protection. I mean, there's no reason. There is a reason why it's the fastest growing app for tickets. Download Gametime app and create an account and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms may apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We also want to thank our everydayers and new listeners for joining us here on Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Thank you for letting us be your first listen each and every day. Be sure to look out for our new episode on Monday where we give you the best players over the weekend for those must-add players off those waiver wires. Also, thank you for everybody, sharing our podcast with everybody, and we ask that you can continue that. We're very close to 2,000 subscribers, and if you can, share this with a friend. If you're new, I understand, we don't like to share our secret weapons and our podcast for our fantasy advice, but we like to come back every week, and the way that is if our audience grows. So if you can help us, we'd really appreciate it, our new listeners, and thank you for our everydayers being out there for us. All right, Dom, please take it away.
Yes, sir. Big shout out to all the fans out there. Please keep supporting us. It's truly appreciated. But we got another great pitch and ditch pitcher for you, and it's JP France. I mean, the guy just keeps it going. Kind of a late career, a little breakout here. He's kind of just keep getting it done. His last start against the Angels, 7 innings, only 3 strikeouts, 1.29 ERA, and an 0.57 whip. He gets the Guardians. His next time out looks like on Saturday. Guardians have been kind of up and down, so it's a matchup where you could see him go out there and do his thing. Possibly, help you a little bit in the ERA, a little bit in the whip department. Not really a huge K's guy, but being on Houston, he can also manufacture a win for you. On the season, JP France, 3.44 ERA, 1.15 whip, 34 innings, 29 Ks, and JP France is only 27% owned on Yahoo. I think you could do a lot worse than JP France this weekend. Another example like, Julio Teheran, pump and dump situation, a true definition of a pitch and ditch guy. If he does bad, you cut him. If he does good, maybe you hang on to him heading into that next week. It looks like he might get Washington. Not 100% sure on that. So JP France, definitely somebody you could look into for this weekend at least.
Yep. And the nice part about France is, he's on a good team. So if he is on his A game, he could possibly get you that W. Another way to manufacture that win this week. All right, let's move on here. Great take, Dom. So about Mr. Braxton. So about Mr. Braxton Garrett. We've talked about him pretty much every week on Pitch and Ditch. He is the greatest pitch and ditch player for us. I think it might have to be called the Braxton Garrett segment here. But here's the thing, right? He's the epitome of it, and the reason is because my guy puts up strikeouts, right? Like, there's no question. 6, 7, 8, 6, and then a couple threes in there and a 5, right? That's exactly what we want in terms of case. And for a good amount of his starts, if you go back and look at his, game logs here, he's had 1, 2, 3 bad starts out of the last 12. So it's not bad. And on top of that, I mean, he's going up against the White Sox, who are hit or miss, right? Today they lit up the Yankees, unfortunately. But I know it was an ugly game. But I'm going to blame that one on the smoke gate here and, the clouds and all that orange mist here. But anyway.
I'm blaming it on Luis Severino.
Yeah, he's sucking. But, hopefully he can bounce back. It's only his 3rd or 4th start back from the injury list, so it is what it is. This is to be expected. But anyway, back to Braxton Garrett. Braxton Garrett is somebody that literally is the what you want to get, right? Pick him up. He's going against the White Sox. Decent matchup. He's going to strike people out. That's just what he does. And he has the possibility of holding them down and keeping the ERA low. Definitely can get you the QS because he's been getting about 6 innings deep. And to boot, there's a possibility of a win because White Sox love to shoot themselves in the foot. So let's see what happens with Braxton Garrett.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Braxton Garrett guy out there. 26% owned on Yahoo. And, I mean, he's all right. As Matt mentioned, he could get you a lot of strikeouts. I don't know about much else. Sometimes he's better than other in ERA. But Braxton Garrett, if you want a shot, White Sox aren't the best team in the league right now. You could give Garrett a shot. 26% owned on Yahoo. Let's move on to somebody have a little bit more confidence in, and it's Griffin Canning. If you don't know Griffin Canning, he's been around for a little bit, a couple of years at this point. He's had some good seasons. Always had upside, in my opinion. He's got pretty solid stuff, and then he gets to learn from, Shohei Ohtani. So with Griffin Canning, he's been solid. His last 3 times out have been pretty decent, in my opinion. At Houston, it's just a tough matchup. 6 innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 earned run. 0.83 whip. The time before that against the White Sox was impressive. 6 innings, got the win, 9 strikeouts, 3 earned runs, a 1 whip. And then against Boston on May 23rd, 7 innings, got the win, 5 strikeouts, no earned, 0.7 whip for Griffin Canning. He's only 12% owned on Yahoo. In your deep leagues, your 15-mans, you could definitely give him a shot. He gets Seattle on Sunday, it looks like. And they have 4 of the top 5 strikeout guys in all of baseball. I believe it's Julio, Jared Kelenic. I forget the other 2, but I know they have a lot of guys that strike out a lot. It could be a big strikeout game for Canning. So even if he goes out and he gives up 3 or 4 runs, strikeout still should be big. His last 3 outings, at least, 6 innings and all those, quality start could be in play. So give Griffin Canning a shot. I think he's one of the better guys to pitch and ditch with for this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I like about Griffin Canning, he usually is about a K per 9, but the thing is, his ERA will probably get blown up. I'm not a Griffin Canning guy. If you look back at his history, with his shots in his bigs, he really hasn't had a nice season. Like his best season was a 3.99 ERA. Other than that, it's 4.58 and a 5.60. So it's not really wonderful for Griffin Canning, even though everybody expected a lot more out of him. But this weekend, I'm willing to roll him out. I mean, it's a good matchup, so why not? And it is what it is. But let's move next. Let's move on. Like, I don't need to bash the kid. He's still a better baseball player than I'll ever be. Anyway, let's talk about Hayden, and I can't say this guy's last name.
Wesneski.
Okay. I just didn't want to butcher it.
You're good.
So Hayden Wesneski is going up against San Francisco this weekend again at San Francisco, which I love. Everybody knows San Francisco is a great pitcher's park, and he's serviceable. I mean, it's not like he's going to go out there and blow up your ERA. He's only had 3 bad starts, and they could blow up your ERA with the 12, a 6, and a 33 ERA. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. This is the risk of rolling out these players. But San Francisco is pretty much a fluffy matchup. He can go out there, get you 4 or 5 Ks. Possibly have a lower ERA. They could possibly even win the game because Chicago is hit or miss. And if they decide to be hot that night, they could beat the Giants. And there you go. You got a little extra thing going for you. The only thing I don't really see is they haven't been letting him go about 6 innings deep. He's been doing about 4, 3, and then 5. So you may or may not get the QS with him. And that's the one thing that kind of will hold me back with him a little bit. But at the same time, if you're desperate, you need the Ks, or you just need to have another arm rolling out just to take over the pitching category, roll out Hayden Wesneski.
Yeah, I think Hayden Wesneski eventually, maybe not this year, but I think eventually he could be somebody that we're going to be talking about more often than not when it comes to fantasy baseball. He's still fairly young. He's only 25 years old. I truly think there's a lot of upside here for Wesneski. And, last year, if you played fantasy baseball at all, he had 4 starts. He played 6 games in total, 2.18 ERA for Wesneski, 33 innings, 33 strikeouts, and an 0.93 whip. Even in the minors, his whole career has been a pretty good whip guy. So I think he can definitely continue that, here into the bigs. He's only really had 3 bad starts so far this season out of how many is it total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So out of 9 starts, only really 3 bad ones. So, it's majority of the time he's been better than not. As Matt mentioned, great matchup for Wesneski against San Francisco. Looks like on Sunday. He's 13% owned on Yahoo. Cubs have had their ups and downs. They could probably go out there and beat the Giants. So I think you can give Wesneski a shot. Like I said, he's got pretty good stuff too. Good track record in the minors. So I think you should definitely go and give Wesneski a shot. But before we move on here, we got an Atlanta Braves pitcher that's young and up and coming, could be pretty good. And then we just got one guy for you if you kind of need to just throw somebody out there in deeper leagues, a little bit of a deeper league play. But real quick, today's episode is sponsored by the clothing company Bird Dogs. Looking for clothes that redefine comfort and style? Look no further than Bird Dogs. They've crafted the perfect blend of performance and fashion to bring you shorts, pants, and tops that will revolutionize your wardrobe. with stretchy fabric that makes your legs look great. They're not only stylish, but also comfier than any other shorts or pants you currently own. They give you the freedom to wear one pair of shorts or pants on the golf course, to a meeting, on a date, or even if you're just going to hang out with the boys. Bird Dogs just sent Matt and I some shorts, and we're absolutely obsessed with them. Guys, been getting so many compliments on these shorts. I'm going out this weekend, probably going to wear a couple of pairs of Bird Dog shorts. Still waiting for my new ones that, are coming in that I ordered not too long ago. And if you want to order some yourself, you can go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. And when you enter the promo code LockedOnMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. But all right, we're hopping back into things now. And Matt, you want to grab this guy?
Sure. Let's talk about Mr. Jared Shuster. Or Shuster, sorry. I don't know why I went Shuster. I just feel like shusting him out of the way. You know what? He has a good matchup this weekend. I'm not even going to lie. He's playing the Nationals on the 10th, which is Saturday. You know what? I'm not mad at this matchup at all. I actually kind of like it. He's been serviceable when he has been starting, except for the one horrendous start against Texas, which was his first start of the year. And then Philadelphia lit him up as well. But other than that, I mean, he was able to hold his own against Seattle, which is a tough matchup, and was able to pitch at Oakland, which, I mean, who can? I can probably. And the Nationals, I mean, they have been giving they did give Philly a run for their money earlier in the week, but let's just call the kettle black here and just say they're just not as good as they performed. I think they performed up to the talent that they were playing. Now, I don't think they're going to do that against the Braves. I think the Braves are going to go up early, and it's going to give Shuster the motivation to keep going and be strong. So that's why I think Shuster is a great start going into this weekend. And quite honestly, I might be able to hold him in for another week or two as long as he can hold that rotation spot and see where it goes. Shuster could be a few week kind of ad. We'll see how it plays out. Jared Shuster.
Yeah, Jared Schuster's kind of, once again, embodies the whole pitch and ditch idea here. Gets a good start against Washington. If he goes out there and he gets lit up, you absolutely dump him. He's 13% owned on Yahoo, more of your 15-man leagues, your NL only, stuff like that, where you can grab Shuster, throw him out against the Nationals, see how that goes. He's decent track record in the minors. I mean, last year in the minors, he had 25 starts, 3.29 ERA, 139 innings, 145 strikeouts, 104 whip for Shuster. He has decent stuff, not elite stuff, but hasn't really shown too much here in, the major so far. As Matt pointed out, he did have a couple of good starts, against a Seattle team that does strike out a lot. And then, against Oakland, there's a lot of guys who go out there and dominate Oakland. So Schuster's more of all right, let's see what he does this weekend. And then, if he is absolutely garbage, which there's a good chance of, you just get rid of him and see where things go. But he could have some strikeouts for you this weekend. On a good team, could get the win as well for Jared Shuster. Let's move on for last resort kind of guy here, old, not reliable. I'm going to call him. It's Kyle Gibson. Numbers always are deceivingly good for Kyle Gibson, and then I swear he has like a 3-4 start stretch every year where he just gives up like 8 runs in every single one of those starts. Last year, I thought he had turned a corner, and he fooled me because then I picked him up, and he had like some of the worst starts of his like whole career, and I was just like, he is fool's gold. But you know what? His last few starts, 3 out of his last 4 starts have been pretty solid, especially that last time out. He went up against Milwaukee, he gave up 2 runs. He pitched 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1.4 whip. And surprisingly, he's actually 50% owned on Yahoo. So maybe he's not as widely available as I originally thought he was. But, like I said, Kyle Gibson's been around a while against KC, who's been bad. Our boy Vinny P is slumping. Bobby Witt's still slumping, and they really don't have much else besides that. Baltimore's a good team, been playing pretty well. Gibson, go out there, you can maybe give up 3 runs, get a bunch of strikeouts, come out with that win. And, his whip is a 1.32 on the year, so it's not absolutely killing you.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing about Gibson. Kansas City actually has been hitting up at least Bobby Witt. I don't know if you saw his last week. He has, 2 bombs last week and about 7 runs and about 6 ribs. And he's batting about 310. So
all right. There you go, picking it up.
Yeah, Bobby's returning the form like we all thought he would. Kyle Gibson is in for a tough matchup, especially if Vinny P can get it. But here's the thing. Dom said this is our last resort guy. If you're going into when's his matchup, by the way?
I believe it's on
Sunday. So
against
if you're going into Saturday night and you see you need to pick somebody up, Gibson is that last ditch effort. Let's scoop him up. Let's see where it takes you. You pray that Kansas City sucks, and sucks until the moment Kyle Gibson leaves the game, and then they can just light up, because there's no way that he's going to be able to fend them off, or the team will be able to fend off a hot Bobby Witt. Let's see what happens. But Kyle Gibson would be a nice last ditch effort for your fantasy team to manufacture that win. So with that being said, Dom, take it away.
Yeah, guys, so you know what? I think that's all for us today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Check out our website if you already haven't. And thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. We truly appreciate our everydayers and new listeners for giving us a shot. Guys, just once again, if you're here at this point, you're probably a fan. And if you're a new listener, you probably enjoyed the episode if you listened to the whole thing. Please be sure, to subscribe on YouTube if you already haven't. Throw a comment, throw a like. And you know what? If you're feeling up to it, please share the podcast with a couple of friends that like fantasy baseball, or just baseball in general. Because, we love to sit here and talk baseball, and we could use the support on our run to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. But please make sure you lock on for a new episode on Monday, where we're going to be talking about the best must-add players coming out of the weekend. But until then, folks,
peace.